Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides with Schla. And for today, well, we're getting stopped up because there's people blocking me right now. But anyways, what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to say, because it is a little bit busier. I'm not, again, like, not really too happy about it. I would just work more hours and take the extra money, but um, my company is not letting me do that. And of course, the people making that decision is not my boss, but it is actually these person that I don't even know who they are, just like sending my boss an email, hey, this guy's working too much. You know, it's just really, I mean, really, it's something how that works. They don't even know me and they're doing that. But what else is new about the way things are? A lot of people just don't have a concept of things. If anything, I'm fortunate that my boss is half reasonable because some people who are higher in management, they're like completely disconnected from like what people actually have to go through or how much money is actually like a lot of money and various things like that. It's like they just have no grasp. And so it's nice to know that, you know, my boss is good. He's not bad at all. I mean, I'm pretty happy with my work. I think there's been some kind of reconciliation with the stress, but not really. I mean, there's been at this point, major damage that has been dealt, and I just don't think that things can be the same anytime soon. So, I just don't get it. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame what I have to deal with. Definitely, it's a shame. Yeah, I think luckily we will evade most of the turmoil here. Let me actually try to get away with maybe just having my windows open. Alright, well, that's not really a good sign. My windows won't open or close. Um, yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Just my one driver window. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I guess no, that seems very strange. Yeah, even if I reach over to the passenger side and try to do the windows, none of them. It's just my. That's so weird. I would reach back and see if. Yeah, how could that be? How could they all be broken? Hmm. Cuz it's not even first I thought maybe like this switch got broken, but if I reach over and try to open them, yeah, that really doesn't make any sense, and it would be really odd for all three of the windows except for the driver's window to be broken. I mean, I kind of have a hard time believing that, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe, next time I turn the car on or something, it'll be fixed, but that's kind of frustrating. I just don't really understand why that needed to happen, but what can I do? It's just another, like, yeah, I can't believe that. It's never happened to me before. And again, I thought maybe it was just these like switches that were broken. Okay. But no, it seems like every window in my car just stopped working, even if I use their actual switches. I mean, you really can't make that stuff up. I don't I don't know. Anyways, yeah, sadly I don't really have anything to talk about. I'm parched. No, I'm saying that as a joke. I'm I'm empty. I'm not hungry. I'm neither hungry nor full. I'm neither hungry nor full. I don't even want to. I don't know why I'm thinking that's funny. But yeah, I mean, I really wasn't thinking, and then I was kind of rushing on my way out, so kind of leads me to now where I don't really have anything big or major to say, and then also when I leave early, there has to be quite a lot of concentration and driving. People are just much crazier. Like when I leave late, I almost kind of figure like later people are going to be crazier, but that's really not the case. It's actually during the daylight, for me at least, that drivers seem crazier. I think too, because the during the day people are or more cocky because it's very easy to just see cars, and then at night with the lights, the lights help, but it's just so much more difficult to um, drive and have good visibility. So I think people probably just drive more chill. That's just my guess. I don't really know. But yeah, I don't know. I think we do beat a lot of the traffic though because of how early I'm leaving. Although yeah, I don't know. I definitely like push it, but it's fine. Yeah, I really got nothing. I mean, I probably recorded one of my favorite episodes in a while, the second walk switch law. I know during it I was just talking about language and how people, they don't really say the right words all the time for how they're feeling. It's like if I ask them, why did they say that or why do they think that way, they're not necessarily even going to have an answer. And that's definitely part of the problem because a lot of people say things and they don't really use the right words, and There's a lot of subjectivity to words, which I don't really agree with, but it's one of those things where there's probably a ceiling on what can be taught. It's kind of like how everybody, I think everybody adds their own inflection to words. So I may think a certain word, like let's say slim versus skinny. I think of slim as a certain thing and then skinny is slightly different. Maybe to me slim is less skinny than skinny, but like to somebody else slim is more skinny than skinny. That's just like the first thing I can think of. An obvious example is the multiple words to describe fat. Like if somebody's fat or they're chubby, um, overweight. I mean, some people would probably be more or less offended by each of these words for different reasons. Now, technically speaking, it should just be like objective. Like there should be some kind of like, and there probably is. That's the thing with a lot of words. There probably already is an objective. It's just that people don't know it because already there's obvious issues with like teaching people things, like with mass education, that it's always kind of like a messy thing. It takes a lot of resources, and especially nowadays it's even more resources. I mean, governments are really funding schools like a lot. We're spending a lot of money on schools, but the yield is worse because of what's going on in the home life. When I was growing up, my parents always read me books and tried to do what you're supposed to do, and in some households that didn't happen. you know I think what a person does with screen time matters as well. If I'm playing Pokemon on the DS, and especially back then, there was more of a difficulty to the games, especially as a child. I remember them being very difficult. And actually, even some other DS games I played as a child, they were difficult, and you either couldn't look up the answer, or you had to strategize to really. Because yeah, I mean, in some cases, I would look up the answer if something like, was really stumped me. But then, after that, I wouldn't look anything up for a while, and there was a lot of brain power being used. You can't equate that to like a child my age just watching TV, because I think it's pretty obvious that watching like entertainment TV is just not as productive as like a video game is probably better for your brain. The puzzle and problem solving skills, and it just is. I mean, I feel like that shouldn't be a well, I gotta be careful about how I say things. um and hey, I mean, this is coming from a person where, if anything, my bias would be against it because I don't even like video games that much anymore. I'm obviously a content consumer. I listen to a lot of content. That is easily my. I just love language. So a video game usually is not very language heavy. A video game, it's more about the competition, and it's more about. Um, Other things, or if it is language heavy, it's like fictional, which I'm not really too interested in fiction. So I'm, if anything, I'm the fact that I'm saying video games are probably better is a bias. Like, I'm biased against myself to think that, you know if anything, like if I was being, I would be biased to say they're probably not good. I actually think, and of course it depends wildly on what type of game, but I'm saying there's probably evidence that the difference between a child just watching like a children's show versus playing a video game that's like pretty difficult. I believe the video game would be better for brain development, but it entirely depends on the game because you could obviously have a mobile game that is essentially just a casino, and of course, that's not going to be good for a developing mind. And then, you know, all right, this, I'm just like people not going when I want them to. I don't. Anyways, sorry, a bunch of thoughts came in that had nothing to do with what we were talking about. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Like, obviously, it really depends on the game and it depends on the show. Some shows are really educational, but for the most part, the types of shows that a lot of people watch now are just not really productive at all. And I mean, even the games a lot of people play, like if it's just competition, you know, if it's teamwork and you're actually talking to a competent person and you're all taking the game seriously, like your team, I mean, that's one thing, but usually video games aren't even like that. You know, it's more like a bunch of random people who don't even have microphones. They may not even be playing with sound, or they may have the voice communication. The communication's off. I mean, they're just like rolling around. I don't really see how there's much of a benefit to that besides killing time. And that's probably how a lot of people see it. They just don't really take things that seriously, you know. But I think that's the problem. The problem is fiction. It kind of bores me. Like, I don't know. I understand that it does a different, you know, there's a different part of the brain that's being utilized, you know, when you're dealing with creativity and fiction. But when I was a teenager, I really had like a nonfiction revolution, and I never really was able to. I mean, I've obviously gotten a more balanced view at this point, but I just mean like for my own pleasure, I don't really get that much pleasure out of fiction. It's just not. It's just not what I do. And yeah, I don't really think, I don't know what else I really have to say. I'm trying to think. But yeah, so I mean, I know now, but it's still like I'm just not really that into fiction. I think if I am, I like realistic fiction maybe. I think that's like my thing that I can get into that's fiction. But it has to be something where again it's like an idea that could make sense. Or I just don't really, I mean, when I was a child, I think fiction amused me, but it's like the older I got, I just kind of realized that, you know, I had this thought like, well, what's the point in learning about something that's fictitious? There's not really much of a point to be had. You know, it's kind of a waste of time. And of course now I understand that isn't really true completely, because it's you know, it's stimulating a different part of the brain, so it's not like it's a waste of time. But I think you can see how it's a logical view of things that I think a lot of people don't really even consider, I think many people, they just, oh, you know what I realized? There could be this button here that locks windows. That's what I think may have gotten pressed. That's what I'm. Yep, that's why my windows weren't working. There's a lock windows button. Yeah, now everything's fine. I kind of like that though. I guess I should keep that on. I don't know when I pressed it. Yeah, it's interesting. I never thought about that, but I mean, I guess I'll just leave that locked. I kind of like that. Pretty cool. Um what was I on about? What was I yapping? What was I yapping about? um oh man, that's a shame I forget cuz I actually liked whatever I was talking about. Oh yeah. And the it's but for me, like, I don't know. I just think some people are wired a certain way, and when I was a child I read fiction books and I liked them, but I still think my favorite books were realistic fiction. I do. I just think it was like fictional books, but the writing was about something that could be, not just like really abstract or something. Um, I think stories is where fiction for me is like the best. Entertainment, it's like, but it's why, like, I don't know. I still like. I'm more interested in learning about real things, and I don't know that there's any. I still want to say it could be slightly advantageous because if you really think about things, part of the problem people have is their gauge for what is or isn't normal is usually pretty off. And I think that stems from a lack of a significant amount of nonfiction content consumption. Like, and here's the thing too with nonfiction. I mean, there is a validity to judging like what a person spends their time researching or learning. I think there is genuine merit to that, and it's only because, I mean, you have to just think about it. Like, how do you um I don't know. I guess what it's like is it's like while fiction can be beneficial to the brain in a certain way, it can open you up to different like stories or experiences or whatever. I think the problem is most of the time when you think of fiction, you think of like a book written by a talented author, somebody who really knows what they're doing. And you actually had to like sit down and read the book, and pay attention to it and like get some. There's no stop. What? This guy just like honked at me, but I'm not supposed to yield there. I don't have, like, he has a stop sign. I don't know why he was honking at me. He's the one who's supposed to stop. Not I. It's literally like he has. Sorry, that just like I didn't even. I wasn't even able to do anything, but that made no sense. His thing had a stop. I don't have a yield sign or anything, and his side has a stop sign. So I don't. I mean, it's kind of like a, intersection that's stressful, but still, I would have the right of, like, I feel like if there's a collision there, it's I don't think it would be my fault. It would be the person who had the stop. Like, I don't know. So for him to like honk at me is just crazy. Cause I can't stop. That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I stop if there's no yield or stop sign, but he has a stop sign? Sorry, I'm just like trying to keep my sanity. What am I thinking about? Yeah, I'm not really too sure what I'm thinking about. Oh yeah, the fiction thing. So the fact that you would have been like probably consuming fiction or storytelling through some kind of like a well-written story, that was meaningful. It probably had a good plot. That's very different to like people nowadays where their storytelling extent is like going on TikTok and basically, who knows really what they're being fed, whether it's good information or not. Like it's just kind of iffy, like I don't really know how else to say it. Because I've met a lot of people, and the people who spend a lot of time on TikTok, they they just don't really have a good grasp of things. Like they usually believe a lot of stuff that isn't true, that they like saw in there, and then they were too lazy to look up and they just like believed it. Um and so that kind of has a domino effect where, yeah, like I mean, it has a domino effect. I don't know. Where, if you have like, let's say 70% of the knowledge you think you know about the world is actually really subjective, but you just take that as being normal, when you correlate and connect the dots to other calculations for things, what are you going to do? Like, it's going to be really wrong. It's going to be off. And yeah, I don't really know how else to explain that, but it's pretty true. And I've like tried to explain that to people, but I don't really know how much it matters. I'm not really sure how much it phases people. Which is a shame, but what I mean to say is that the it probably is true. And here's me making my claims again, but I'm pretty serious about this. Like, I think it's very likely that it would do humans good to dabble in more like nonfiction vetted content than the current state of the internet. Like, I just don't really think the internet, it's more stimulating, it's faster, it's more novelty, but again, in terms of actually getting like correct good information, I don't know. Like, I don't really know that it's like a good place for the human mind. So, that's just my 2 cents about it. Yeah, sorry. I'm just I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be a great I'm honestly pretty happy with what I did end up coming up with, but I'm hoping by tomorrow morning things should be a little bit better cuz I'll finally have like a break. Like I think the worst pinch is the first day I do a short day because it's kind of crazy like how much because usually if it's long day into long day that's kind of rough as well because it's um yeah, I mean it's it's also kind of rough because it's basically like I speak and then I come home I basically go to bed wake up and then talk again, but at least the rest of the days it's very the rest of the times during the day are like spread out throughout the day. But when it's a long day into a short day like this, it's like the last thing I record the previous day is extremely late. And then since the morning in this very compressed time span, it's like boom, boom, boom. So by the time we get to here, it's like I've talked a lot if you're counting like last night until now. And but then there's a decent break because now I actually will have time to get to a bunch of things that I wanted to get to, which will be good. And then um I have time to get to a bunch of things that I want to get to. And then I'll kind of just have like a break, you know? So tomorrow morning could be better. But then again, by the time we get to Friday, like the end of Friday, it's kind of like, can be kind of rough. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, sorry, I'm just, my brain wants rest. I'm tired of thinking, I'm tired of talking. No, but I'm saying that, but, well, first of all, see, now I already have something to say. Like, because I've said so many times my battery's high, and I don't. That makes it seem like my battery's low. My battery's not low. And if I was actually talking to a person right now, I think I would be fine. Or I would maybe only need like a like a 30-minute break or something like that. Um, like yeah, I don't really know, but yeah, whatever the case, it is what it is, I guess. You know. Anyways, it's been schla, and now it's time to buy schla. So, see you, schla.